So welcome everybody to the Passive Income Show. I'm Dave Espino with my co-host Phil Ebiner, and tonight we're excited to have Greg Smith from Thinkific.com. He is the leader of this online platform that allows us to teach online for passive income. And we wanted to really get the lowdown and get some details from Greg about specifically how Thinkific is different than other learning platforms, and what they're doing, and how they are able to bring on instructors and attract instructors to their site. So welcome, Greg. We're really happy to have you on board here tonight.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Phil. It's great to be here. I fan of you guys, and happy to be hanging out with you, and will help everyone out in any way that I can. It's what I love to do.
Awesome. Well, can you give us a little background on how Thinkific got started, when they got their start, and maybe a few facts about the platform that you're in charge of there?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess the start really happened, it was about 10, 11 years ago. I created my own online course, and this is actually pre-Thinkific. I'd been teaching a classroom course at university and wanted to put it online. My blog was doing reasonably well, hundreds of readers reasonably well.
Nice.
So we put together a little mini online course, and it kind of took off slowly and grew over the years. And eventually I got to the point where I was actually making more money from my own online course than I was practicing law for one of the largest law firms in the country. So that sort of pushed me down the education path. And the feedback I get from students and being able to share with them online is amazing. So that's kind of what was the impetus behind going into Thinkific.
That's awesome. What was that first online course about?
I was on the LSAT, so the law school admissions test, and something I find it a lot of fun. I enjoyed teaching it. Not everybody does, but it went well. People liked it. They liked the course, and I had a lot of fun teaching it. It's actually still out there today, so it's crazy because I think I stopped altogether touching that about 5 years ago. Other than moving it over to Thinkific, and it still sits there today and cranks out passive revenue. So it's a pretty amazing thing. My brother is a co-owner on that course with me, and he just shot me an email today telling me how much money is in the account, saying like, we should do something with this. We gotta like buy something, or so we're talking about maybe getting a cabin or something like that.
Oh wow, that's a lot of money then.
Well, down payments.
yeah. On a cabin. Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. So what was the kind of the foundation of Thinkific? How did it get started? And, give us a few facts about the platform.
Yeah, of course. So we had this online course running, and then what happened is a lot of other instructors started reaching out to us saying, how did you create and launch your online course? Because especially 5-6 years ago when we started getting a lot of these requests, there's a few WordPress plugins, stuff like that, but not much that was dedicated for, or nothing really dedicated for online courses that was kind of an all-in-one simple technology solution. So that's when we built it, and we built it in response to other people asking us for it. So it really came about organically. We built it for ourselves first, then other people asked us to build it for them, and so we did that. We created it for them, and that's kind of been the lifeblood of Thinkific all along, is that it's created by people who had their own online course. And everybody here still uses it to create their own online courses, and then built for all the people who've been asking us for it.
That's great. And I've noticed that you do have some different features than other platforms have, like marketing features and internet marketing focused type of features, kind of like a dream list for a lot of internet marketers. So that probably comes from the fact that you started, in the pre-platform days.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds funny because that was just 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But this industry is growing so quickly.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right. It's and the thing we realized coming in is when we were building Thinkific, we'd already had 5 or 6 years building, marketing, branding our own online course. And so we knew that marketing was obviously, and branding were really going to be an important part of it, and control. And so building all of this myself, I saw that where we were successful and where other people were successful is when they had control over the brand, price, access to their following or their audience that they were building. And so we wanted to make sure that we put all of the control in other people's hands. Because what I wanted when I was creating it was basically a developer to build my own custom solution. So as much as possible, we've tried to build something that's your solution, and as if you hired a team of developers for 5 years to build the perfect solution for you, to help you market it, brand it, grow it, all that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, I'm very new to Thinkific. I've known about it for a while, but now I'm just getting a little more serious about it because I like the idea of having my courses on different platforms and not being too focused on one platform. It's always good to kind of spread the risk around, if you will, or even spread your revenue around. I mean, there's possibilities for revenue on multiple different platforms. So why not?
Yeah.
Why not have courses there?
Yeah. That's
so what would
I'm
you
terrible
say?
at. My course is on one platform and that's it. Now, I guess I'm a little biased that way, but I still just have it on the one. And the fear I have, I guess, of putting it on too many others is potentially you start to get, internal price competitions or cannibalizing your own. But at the same time, I mean, you're just getting more and more web exposure. So you're right. You start getting it out in more places and you get more exposure.
Yeah, coming from the e-commerce background, I've had the same products on eBay and on Amazon and maybe a few other platforms, and there's different audiences in different platforms, and they may not ever cross. So I don't see a huge risk there. So what would you say separates Thinkific from other online learning platforms? And, I want to hear from the instructor's point of view and also from a student's point of view.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it depends on whether you're comparing us at the high level to general online learning platforms or even things like Udemy specifically, where obviously we're quite different from a Udemy, which is a marketplace and has, all the millions of students and thousands of instructors brought into one place to interact together, but it's all done under Udemy's brand and control, which is awesome for what it is. We're quite different than that, obviously, which is your site, your brand, your control, your revenue even. So within that space, there's definitely some other people playing in that space. And some of the big ways we're different, I think one, it just stems from the fact that we've been around a lot longer than most of the others, if not all of them. Because we came out of 11-year history of course design and then built this, launched it 4 years ago. So what that translates to is we now have some huge billion-dollar global clients. We've built the server architecture and the whole platform to support them, as well as the individual and the little guy and everybody just getting started creating their courses. So that means you get all the benefits of that kind of robust software. For example, one of our clients the other day, without telling us, sent an email out to 2 million people inviting them to join their online course. And when it hit our servers, there was barely a blip, handled it fine, no downtime, no issues with concurrent users, all that kind of stuff. So because we've been around that long and have that nice basically DevOps and server architecture, people get to take advantage of that. So even if you're only putting 100 students on or 50 students on, it means everything's lightning fast and you can rely on it to be up and running. And then in terms of from the student side, instructor side, from the instructor side, some of the unique things that we have are, we've got a sales widget. That's something you won't see anywhere else. So this is like a cool little thing that you can create a button or an image or a card that you can actually, with one click, pull out a Thinkific and drop anywhere. So you can actually put it onto someone else's blog or in a guest blog post. You can use it to work with affiliates, and it can even load your checkout wherever it is. So I could actually take the buy button for one of my courses, drop it into a guest post. Yeah, it's super fun to use and really easy. You can design it up with just a couple of clicks, drop it into a guest post somewhere with an affiliate, and someone can actually load the checkout right there on that site. So they don't even have to. If you've already done the sales process over there, they don't have to come over to you and buy. They can check out right there.
All right, that should be worth about 1,000 props for Greg right there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I thought I saw when I first looked at Thinkific, were these internet marketing type of, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, internet marketing type of innovation. Yeah. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
That I didn't see in other online learning platforms. And sometimes we're so wrapped up in our world doing what we're doing that we don't really take the time to look at a site like this to see how much is offered there. So I'm glad we have you here so it can reinforce me getting over there and getting a closer look.
Yeah, and I have a tough question for you, Greg, because I'll be completely honest. I hadn't heard of Thinkific until after I was on Teachable.
Yeah.
And I know I could imagine from my perspective, they're probably one of your competitors, because they kind of offer the same idea of hosting your own school. So for someone like me who's already on Teachable, what would you tell me to get me onto Thinkific? Or for someone who's like comparing the two, because I think a lot of people compare the two. What's your selling point? Because you said a lot of great things, and I think there are some selling points, but is there one thing that you'd say you do better?
So one is just Google us versus them. That'll probably convince you right there. The other, join our Facebook group. And just ask the people there. There's a lot of people who've tried both and done the analysis and done even like a couple of months deep dive on us and them and even other platforms. And so that'll give you the unbiased feedback. What I think, there's a lot of features and things we have, like we actually give your revenue, the revenue to you immediately as opposed to holding on to it. We probably have a few more features and are a little further down the line than them in a number of different spots, things like the sales widget. But the biggest one I think that has the most value is we're just fanatical about customer service. And so if you even just sign up for an account with us and sign up for an account with anyone else and ask them a few questions or ask them for help and ask us for help, you'll see that our response time and the type of response you get is just worlds apart. And you'll see that talking to anyone who's using Thinkific. And I think that's a pretty important thing, because whether you're a brand new to online courses or you're an advanced user, you're always going to have questions and want to take things to that next level and learn that next step. And having a partner, we really want to be your partner in doing things. So having that partnership there where we're ready to answer your questions and help you through it is, I think, pretty important.
Got it. Okay, cool.
That's great. And I just posted the link to your Thinkific Studio group. So if people want to go on there and check it out, they can do that. I have noticed quite a few comments about the customer support being, just excellent. And that really speaks to how you guys are running the company, and that's exciting. So tell me, Greg, can you explain the basics of how teaching on Thinkific works? Like what kind of revenue setup it is, or what kind of plans you have?
Yeah, of course.
For instructors.
The basic plan to get started on is free. And then on that plan, if you sell a course, we do take a 10% transaction fee. And then from there, the next level up, I think, is $39 or $49 per month, depending on whether you pay annually or monthly. And there's a 5% transaction fee. Then it's $79 or $99, depending on whether you pay monthly or annually. And on that level, so even just $79 or $99, we take no transaction fees. So that's the point that most people end up at, and we're not limiting you in any way, and all the revenue goes direct to you. At the lower levels, we do take the transaction fee just because to support us on the kind of bandwidth, because we actually cover all the cost of your video hosting and everything else. But once you get into even the $99, $79 level, we're no fees to you, other than credit card processing fees still apply, but that doesn't go to us. So I see Phil's sharing the pricing there as well.
Yeah, and as far as the site, do you guys have an affiliate program, like for instructors to be able to have affiliates?
We do, yeah. So there's a built-in one, and then you can integrate with pretty much anything. So we even have a direct, and I don't mean through Zapier. We have direct integrations with a lot of things like Infusionsoft or even Lead Dino or other programs you can run your affiliate stuff through. But we also have our own affiliate program built in where you can just turn anyone into an affiliate and set a commission for them there.
That's great. So we're going to switch gears a little bit here. I want to know, I want to get some insider secrets from Greg Smith, CEO of Thinkific here, on what marketing strategies have you seen work really well for some of the top instructors on the site?
Yeah.
And even for yourself, I mean, you had a successful online course starting out, and it's still clearly enough to buy a cabin. So, we want to know
down payment. Over the life of it, it's definitely enough to buy a cabin. This was just sort of the last few months that we hadn't checked it out. So I'd say, so I'll talk about one of the hottest things right now is webinars. Obviously, people doing really, really well with webinars in terms of selling things. And there's a whole flow to how you can do that, and a bunch of different ways that you can drive traffic to it. One that I see working quite well is the really targeted Facebook ads, which have a video in it, which drive to a landing page that has another video in it that gets you to sign up for the webinar. You can be much more complex than that, but then go down that path. One of our excellent instructors who does exceptionally well, we just did a bit of an interview with him on how he does his webinars, and he was running a webinar, live event. A wasp got into the room, and he spent about 10-15 minutes of this live webinar running around screaming, trying to get the wasp out, while everyone stuck around and laughed at him. He had 50% more sales on that webinar than any other webinar. And we're not talking like hundreds of dollars more. I can't tell you exactly what it was, but it was a very significant number more just because of the wasp. So if you're running webinars, invite a wasp. No, I think the lesson to be learned there is some humor really helps, and humanizing things, and not just coming off and selling. You got to add value and kind of entertain people if possible as well. So webinars is a big one. Recently talked to a guy, Ryan Stewart, who teaches courses in SEO and link building. And he talks about really in depth about his Facebook funnel and how he's targeting through that. And he's done exceptionally well for that, because he gives away so much for free. So the ad on Facebook is actually a free video with some education in it. That goes to a landing page with a 45-minute free video that's just give. And then you can sign up for a free trial or buy the course and get onto the email list. And because he gives away, and even on the next landing page beyond the free video, he has another free video. And because of that, and because he's not asking for your email before you can see that video, he actually has he said an 80% open rate on his emails, because the only people giving him the email are the people who are saying, yeah, I'm interested in buying this course now. And that course starts at $850. So that's working quite well. So that's the Facebook side. A few quick wins that I've seen. Quora, I really like. I've done well with Quora. So the nice thing about that is you don't have to spend money. You don't have to be a tech wizard or even techie at all. You can just go in, find questions that apply to you. So you can just search for questions as if you were one of your students, and then answer them. And like any other internet marketing, at least, especially for us teachers, is just give lots of great value. And then you can always just mention, hey, if you want to check out more, there's a free trial of my course, or you can check out my course over here. That's done really well. And then YouTube's a big one as well. And just, again, give value, teach right there on YouTube, share some of the best stuff that you have, and then have people click through from there to your online course and check it out there. I haven't done too much in the way of Blab, although I'd be curious to hear from you guys if you see, is Blab working for selling courses, or, how do you do the marketing? How do you convert through from it?
We haven't actually spent too much time marketing any of our courses, and it's something Dave and I have definitely talked about. We have put together a bundle that we've talked about a little bit, but out of the, I don't know how many blabs we've done now, 10, 15 blabs, we haven't really promoted anything, but it's something that we think that's important for instructors, and it's a great way to supplement courses, and then new people can find you. So I think, like webinars, it could be a great way to promote your courses. But yeah, again, it's like, we're just trying to give. So that's what this has been beneficial of, just being able to help people out, and, hopefully people trust us now. And I think they've enjoyed the Blab so far.
Yeah, and the way we use Blab is really, we're really audience building. We're really building our audience and building know, like, and trust. But there's also a whole nother side to Blab, where every time we record one of these, we can take that recording and pull clips out of, an hour and a half recording and upload those to YouTube. So it's, in effect, you're like creating this content, by having a Blab, and then you're able to pull these clips and create, I've uploaded, I think, 112 videos in the last 30 days to YouTube, just from Blab content that we've put out over probably 3 or 4 Blabs. So from a content creation point of view, it's really powerful. But I'm glad to see that you're doing some of the things that we're doing, to promote our courses. And there was a question. Let's see.
I have a
There's
question.
It'll probably come back to me.
I have a
There we
question because I think people hear this idea of doing webinars and that sort of funnel, and myself included. Can you give us the easiest, like actual practical tools and how one could do that? Just in terms of, is there a webinar software that you suggest, or can we just do it using Google Hangouts? Skipping the Facebook ads part of it.
Yeah.
Is it just as simple as putting up, posting a YouTube video or posting a blog article that pitches a webinar and then having a webinar that pitches the course at the end? Do you have any tips on that?
Like specific tools for the funnel, or actually the steps in the funnel?
Well, maybe specific tools first, just because I think people would really appreciate that.
Okay, sure. And if you see me looking down, so Dave, you were chatting there about Blab to YouTube. I'm looking down. I'm taking notes here, so it's good. It's good advice. So I always like to write down the good tips when I get them. Yeah, for the funnel, I mean, tools is always a tough one because there's just so many. I mean, you've got your platform where you're starting and you're grabbing people. So that could be anything from Instagram, if that's the right market for you, which I think is hugely engaging, even Snapchat. Getting those over to wherever your ad takes you, which could be a landing page typically, which you can do landing pages in Thinkific, but typically you'd be using a lead pages or an Unbounce, or even ClickFunnels for doing these things, and driving people through with those kind of tools. And then in terms of the actual webinar tools, I see a bunch of people mentioning Webinar Jam. I know some people who are using Easy Webinar and doing well with that. There is Google Hangouts. I think Webinar Jam and Easy Webinar actually leverage off of Google Hangouts. Is that right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah.
So I think they're great platforms. I wonder if I noticed that in some of those cases you don't end up downloading anything to your computer locally, so it's all through the browser, and I think that's getting better and better. But occasionally I've found that some of that results in some lag. So I've used GoToWebinar, which I have mixed feelings about sometimes, and then a newer one created by some of the people who I think left GoTo, which was Zoom. The great things about pretty much all of those that I mentioned is I think they all have automation of emails and welcome messages and following up based on people attended the webinar or didn't attend the webinar. And I think the majority of them you can actually embed within Thinkific. So you could even have a paid course that has live events using, say, Zoom or something like that, or even YouTube Live. YouTube Live is a tough one. We dropped one of those into our Facebook group recently, and I guess you could embed Blab too. I think you can embed Blab now in places, right?
Yeah.
So you could even drop that inside a course and have a Blab within your course. We tried embedding a YouTube Live in our Facebook group the other day to run a live event, and just the streaming wasn't quite up to par there. For some people. So some of the bandwidth things I think still need to be worked out there, but I'd love to do that. And then of course there's Facebook Live. I just kind of rattled off a whole bunch of tools. I don't know how helpful that was, but yeah.
That is great. Yeah. I know one of the reasons I like Blab is because we have this walk by traffic. It's almost like we're in a mall having a radio program and people are stopping to listen. And if they like it, they'll stay. And if they don't, they'll leave. But there's just that extra chance to have new traffic and new fans coming in from another platform while we're in the process of building our content and building our audience. So wow. I remember the question I was going to ask you, Greg, and that was for these people who are doing Facebook advertising, because Facebook, I know quite a bit about Facebook advertising, and you have to have a decent enough price point to make it worth your while. You pay X amount for your ads, your media buy, and then you get X amount back. And so what are some of the price points that these people that are successful with Facebook, what are the price points they're asking for their courses?
So if you're going to that's an interesting point about you have to kind of have a price point that makes sense for it. I do know of one instructor I spoke with recently who's selling courses for $99, running Facebook ads, getting leads for, quite cheap, driving them to a webinar, and then selling the course on the webinar at $99 to $100. Now, I think actually one interesting thing that he does is he has the same course and it's available either in a downloadable format or non-downloadable. So in Thinkific, you can actually turn on downloads or off. By default, they're off, or you can allow people to download it. I know a lot of people are scared about it because it's like, hey, you've downloaded my videos. You can do whatever you want with them. But I've really seen very, very little abuse with that kind of thing. So this guy sells it as downloadable or not downloadable, and the downloadable is, I think, almost double the price. And people will pay just because then they can download it and take it away, listen to it on their phone, or that kind of thing. So you definitely can do the lower price points. The guy who was doing who had the Wasp, I think he's in about the $1,500 range, so much higher price point. In terms of pricing generally, when I launched my own online course initially, I started at $29, and I had sort of a fraction of the course that I really wanted. And every month I would raise the price a little bit, and we eventually got to $389, and that's where it stuck as sort of the ideal price for my market. So that's one strategy that I've seen work well. And I think it's a good story to tell of constantly raising prices and adding value. And each month you can email your list and say, hey, we've added a few more things. Price is going up. Last chance to get in at the low price. We're bringing it up again. As opposed to the declining price of we tried to sell it for $2,000 and we couldn't do it. So we're dropping it. And then the flip side is I see people who are really, and I see someone saying Udemy won't let you do that anymore. True. Udemy is great as for what it is. It's got those price ranges now of $20 to $50. And I think that that's actually a really good decision for them. And it'll actually serve all of us course creators positively. In Thinkific, obviously, you have full control over how you price and when you price and what you change. And then the other way I see people winning with prices is at that higher range where they're finding a lot of ways to increase the perceived value and then the value that they're giving. So that's having not just a pre-recorded course, but adding private groups, private coaching, additional downloads, bonuses, add-ons, all this extra stuff, and engaging with students. And I love doing non-scalable things that help people. So with my course, for the longest time, I had basically my cell phone on it, available 24/7 for people hitting the website. And I would get calls in the middle of the night. And I'm married now, but at the time girlfriends would hate me for it because 3 o'clock in the morning would be dead asleep and wake up to, hi, this is Alpha Score. How can I help you? And people would, but the reason I did it was because my close rate to a $400 or $389 sale on those phone calls was about 75-80%. So when that phone rang, people weren't calling to ask complicated questions. They were calling to say, hey, I'm interested in signing up for your course. How much is it? $389. Okay. And yeah, okay, you're real. Great. People would actually say that, like, oh, you picked up the phone. Okay, I'm going to go and buy it. And it was just that they wanted to talk to someone. So little non-scalable things that really touch people a little closer. And then even after you sell the course, having those private groups and engaging with people that way, I find can just add so much more value to your course.
That's great. I'm going to have to go back and listen to this recording because you're bringing out a lot of good new concepts for us. Phil and I, obviously, we started on Udemy. I actually started way before with just information products that I sold on the internet using ClickBank or PayPal or whatever. But one of the reasons I think it's a benefit to have you on here, Greg, is that you're from this other world outside of Udemy where people promote their own stuff and successfully, and they make it work and they charge more money and they provide great value. And we want to know about that world.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to just be sheltered Udemites the whole time. and the entire, this entire show is not Udemy specific. So I'm really excited to be able I really am going to be going back and listening to this recording because you've hit on some points that I would love to get into more detail on. We just obviously don't have that much time, but
yeah.
And it's perfect timing. Awesome. It's perfect timing too with the Udemy price change because, like you said, I think it's a great idea for Udemy. It's going to help the platform better, but it definitely makes instructors want another platform where they have more control. So this is like the perfect blab to do right now. I would say, Dave, can we go through some of the questions that we've been getting just to get some of the, Sure. I know Greg has been answering a couple of them, but just to get some feedback while people are listening.
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that.
So Greg, maybe we can just run through some of these. Some of these are pretty easy, I think.
Yeah.
I know you just answered this one for Chad in the chat, but you can start at lower levels and upgrade anytime. Yep.
Yeah, no problem. So, with there's a free plan, so you can hop in at the free plan, build out your courses, launch courses, sell courses, and then there's really two reasons to upgrade on Thinkific. One is that you don't want to pay any transaction fee, and then the other is some of the features that we give are on the higher pricing tiers. So you can hop in at whatever level you want. You can move around or up or down at any level you want.
Got it. This is a question for everyone, but Chad was asking about sending educational announcements on Udemy to Thinkific or Teachable courses. That's not allowed because you're requiring someone to sign up with an email address, which isn't allowed. Kendall Wright is asking about an example of a success story for individual sellers on Thinkific. I saw someone post a blog article, I believe, but do you have any off the top of your head that people can look up?
Yeah, tons. I mean, if that blog article's there, you go to our blog at thinkific.com, tons of success stories, but just a few really fun ones. There's one, Deanne Love out of, I think, Australia. She started teaching courses in hooping or hula hooping for fitness and dance. And she started teaching them with just a camera phone in the park, and then graduated to the garage, and then a team and a studio, and she's built a whole huge empire around this. So that was pretty amazing to see. Wow. I know another guy who, I'm not going to say who it was, but he had told me that his wife lost his job, or his wife lost her job in an economic downturn in the US, and his online course basically saved the family, and they were able to, keep their house and keep doing things. And honestly, I kind of teared up a little bit when he sent me the email. So that was pretty amazing. The guy with the wasps is just one man operation, created a really cool course around flying drones in the film industry. And he's been hugely successful.
That's awesome.
And doing wonderfully well. So we do a lot of case studies on people like that, because I absolutely love seeing those success stories, and anything we can do to kind of help make more of them happen is pretty much why we exist.
Got it. Cool.
That's awesome.
We got this other question from Chad about emails. So the question is, do you get students' emails addresses when they sign up for your course, even in the free, if it's a free course? And my follow-up question is that, do you guys connect with other, like Aweber, MailChimp, all these other platforms? Are there any that you don't, that you know of, or?
The simple answer is yes to everything. So if someone signs up, free account, free course, anything, you get their email. You have full control over that. The email is yours. You can download it, export it, or you can email them directly through our platform in automated ways or manual ways. You can sort and segment your users based on about 30 different filters of everything they've done in there, or where they came from, who referred them, coupon codes, and then email them based on that. And then we integrate with all the marketing platforms, from Aweber to MailChimp to Infusionsoft and others, and then even more through things like Segment and Zapier.
Nice. So that's
the internet marketing stuff that I had noticed.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And now I'm going to take a closer look.
It's all on the platform, the ability to do the automatic emails and stuff. That's really cool. I'm trying to look at, Sergey had a few questions. Sergey asks, what is included in the free option? And he had followed up asking, he saw what was online on the page that I shared, but if you could dive deeper into that. I know, Sergey, there's also there's this core features that if you scroll down on the pricing page, which I'll post again, there's some more features, but it looks like you pretty much have a lot of stuff on there. So I don't know.
I mean, we really didn't want to restrict people a lot. So on the free thing, there's no limits on courses or any of that kind of stuff. You can just get up and start going on the free plan. And we really give you all the stuff you need to build your course, launch your course, sell your course, get it going. Things that you're going to be upgrading for would be things that are giving you more control over how it's all working. Like even access to all your data is free. And then it's things like if you want to issue automated certificates when people complete a course, then you would go to on a paid plan to do that kind of a thing, or some of the more advanced features that you're going to use. Even one thing that is on any paid plan is the custom domain name. So you can set up your own custom domain name and put your courses on that as well.
Got it. And I think this is a great follow-up question about bringing traffic to the course. I'm assuming this is, Thinkific is a platform where you're mostly in charge of having to drive traffic to your course. But in terms of that domain name, is there any way to integrate it better with a site that you might have already? Or is it really just, you'll have to like forward your people to a Thinkific platform?
Actually, so on the two questions there, I guess. On the domain name side, you can integrate it directly into your site. So it could just become your whole site, or it could be part of your site. So a lot of people will do it like a subdomain. So you'll have my blog or mysite.com, and then you would have your Thinkific courses at courses.mysite.com. So that's easy to just make it part of your site. And that's actually what most people do. And then in terms of bringing traffic to the course, so by default, we don't just send you a bunch of traffic, which is what makes us a bit different from Udemy, is we give you the control and all the revenue. But that means we're not taking a bunch of money from you to spend on advertising to drive traffic to your course. That being said, because we work with thousands of schools and people in the industry now, we have a lot of partnerships that we can match people up with to promote courses. So I know even Dave, with you, we've connected you with some people who are actually helping you with courses and promoting them. So there's definitely the possibility of us giving you introductions and partnerships and stuff like that to drive traffic and do some promotions. Plus, just as a community of Thinkific instructors, we share a lot of resources, which ends up in people getting more sales that way. But yeah, if you're building it, your brand, your platform, with full control, the trade-off is typically you're doing most of the marketing efforts versus a Udemy where you can kind of set it and forget it and hope that they'll market it for you.
Great.
That brings up a follow-up question. Do you guys have some kind of a support network or some kind of even a training on how to market your Thinkific courses?
We do, yeah. And so actually, if you sign up for a free account, the first thing you see is a course that teaches you a little bit about how to use Thinkific. And then there's a bunch of other courses in there around things like YouTube marketing for specific to online courses, and lots of resources that we share constantly with people. That's probably one of the biggest things we're working on, is sharing with resources with people about how to grow. So pretty much all the stories I've told you here come from in-depth interviews we do with customers who are super successful with one certain method of advertising. And then we just share that with everyone.
Nice.
That's great. Well, I'm going to probably go to PetSmart, buy some pet wasps, and let them loose in Phil's office.
Hey man, if it works, that I'm fine with that. Here's a question from Barb. Yeah, really. We'll let Greg pass on this one. Dave, we got a question for us from Barb, and it's a great timely question asking about drop by your site, invited to participate in Thursday webinar as your email capture. Is the webinar held every Thursday, or has that one passed and a new date to be announced?
Yeah, we do it every Thursday, same time, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. No, 1, 11, 12, 1, 2. 2, yeah, 11 a.m. Pacific to 2 Eastern. And is that right? Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So we do that every Thursday, and then we have recordings as well. But also, if you even just sign up for a free account, then right in there's a training course that walks through a lot of the stuff that you see in the webinar. And it's a course in Thinkific on Thinkific, so you get to experience it from the student side while seeing a tour of the product as well.
Perfect. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that let's move on to any of the other questions that we had, Dave, for Greg, before we hop back to student question or viewer questions.
Yeah, I've got a couple questions here. What kind of advice would you give instructors so they create a high quality course that students will love, that has great engagement and that kind of thing?
Yeah. So the engagement is definitely one big thing, and then loving the course is almost another. Lots of different ways you can do this. I'd say if you're a first-time person doing this, I like the pilot approach, which is you invite a small group of people, make sure that they're going to pay. It can be a discounted rate, but make sure they're going to pay so that if your long-term goal is to charge for it. Some people do free courses, but assuming your long-term goal is to charge for it, get people to pay a discounted rate to join your pilot, run the pilot. It can be a lot of live stuff. You can do things like events like this where, well, maybe not quite interview style like this, but more a teaching event, and only run it for maybe 2.5 hours of content, and then just work with people one-on-one, private groups, coaching groups as part of the course that they paid for, and tell them right up front, hey, this is a pilot, get a lot of feedback on it as you go through it. And that'll really help you to refine and make that perfect course. I'm stealing a lot of this stuff from Danny Inouye over at Course Builders Laboratory in Miracy, by the way, that section of it, the pilot course stuff. It's great ideas that they have there on that. So just to give him props for that. Then from there, I like to do, like I said, I like to do some non-scalable stuff in the early days where you're talking directly one-on-one to students, where you're asking them how it's going for them and what you can do to help. I think the private groups or there's a built-in discussion area within Thinkific, so you can have those discussions with students in there. But starting to do that will just make that course of much more value to people, because you're going to do your best to create that static or that on-demand content. But then when you get into the engagement side, that can really level up the value for people. And the other thing is in this, even in the on-demand content, do a little bit of engagement. So create some quizzes, create some surveys, create some things that people can interact with, and then keep your videos short. So 2 to 5 minutes in length for videos within your course, I find is the ideal. Even if you need to teach a 30-minute topic, cut it up into pieces.
Yeah, that's great. A great strategy you mentioned, which is doing the pilot and then building from that. And it's exactly what I'm doing right now with an online teaching coaching program where I'm coaching some people with online teaching. And I offered it for a lot less than I'm going to offer it. And I'm getting tremendous feedback already from my coaching students, but also just from going through the process. Last night I did a webinar about how to market your online courses, and just going through the process of teaching step 1, step 2, step 3. Last night was step 4. That alone helps you to refine the end product, to realize, oh, you know what, I could have done this here, I should have done this here, and so now I'm going to fix it, repair it, improve it, and refine it. And that's an awesome strategy. And by the way, I've done that with a lot of products too. A lot of coaching programs is the process of beta launching it, pilot launching it, helps you so much in the refinement of the product. So great strategy.
Excellent. I'll have to check that out. That's a course on marketing your course?
Well, I have, it's a coaching program
On marketing
and basically, on creating and marketing courses and all of that. And it's going to be, when it's all done, it's all said and done, it's going to be a ClickFunnels funnel to, at this point now, maybe a Thinkific hosted program where all the videos are hosted there, and I can charge what I want to charge, because it's definitely not a $50 deal.
Yeah, excellent. Oh, that's great. Well, let me know about that. I'd love to share it with our audience, because like I said, we work with all these course creators, and they're always looking for help on the marketing side of things. So very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what does your data tell you about the best converting prices for online courses? I'm assuming you have access to the data of what sells, what doesn't sell, what price points they sell for. I don't know if you do, but I'd love to know if you do.
We do, and I'm going to do a deeper dive on this for you, and I'll actually send over some data. Maybe you can share it in future blabs and stuff like that, and I'll send you the data, and you can use it however you want. But obviously, without any personal information in it, we'll just extract the summaries and stuff like that. But
that'd be great.
With the looks, I have done looks into it, and I'll say that there's high converting and then there's high revenue, right? And so I think the people I see, for the most part, earning the huge revenues are charging the bigger dollars for the courses. So they're figuring out a way to take their brand up to a higher level, make everything look really pretty, establish a name for themselves as much as possible, and charge that price point somewhere between $500 and $2,000 for a product. And I think there's a few reasons why this works really well to generate the millions of dollars in revenues. Is just pricing yourself that high starts to tell people I'm worth this, even if you aren't potentially. But it even tells you're worth it. So if you have a $15 course, you're going to step up to the plate and make a $1,500 course. And on top of that, you're going to build your whole brand around it. And when someone buys the course, they just gave you $1,500. You owe them something. So you're actually going to be invested in them. It's harder to do that when you sell a $10 course. So I like pushing towards that. I don't think it's the perfect starting point for everyone. So like I said, I started at $29 and then I worked my way up. So it's not come out of the gate with $1,500 if it's your first time. But I do think everybody can work towards that. And there's a lot of things you can do to start to build that value of the course and get to that place. So when you look at people like Marie Forleo sells her program for $2,000, that, you know, there's a reason behind it. She does well over 10 million a year in revenues. And that's because she's built up the value around the product.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to sell coaching programs at $2,500 and $5,000, and really finding a platform where that can all look like a $2,500 product, not a cheap product, and where everything works and everything's customer serviced and all that. That's really the key. I think part of the key. Obviously, your content has to be stellar. And your service has to be stellar, but I really like the idea of doing that, because sometimes, especially those of us in the audience here, we can get kind of tunnel vision with only being on one platform and only believing that that's the price point. That's what online courses sell for. It's just what it is, and it's not.
Yeah,
it's not. We all know there are much. There are different business models and there are different things. If you can provide the service and the content that people need and the right people need and will pay for, then why not do it?
Yeah.
I've got a follow-up question, which I think will help a lot of people watching this who have courses on Udemy. And for myself, I have my courses on Udemy, have them on my own site, and it kind of forces me to drop my prices on my site. And I would love to find ways to make what was a $200 course is now a $20 course on Udemy. I want to make that back into a $200 course on my own site, but I somehow do have to differentiate it. So what's like the first thing that you would suggest me or anyone doing with a course that was basically just video content? What things would you add first to up it $100 or $200 in terms of selling on our own course platform?
Definitely. And I do see a few comments about the Udemy pricing. I mean, I actually think it's a really good move, as I said, for them and for the whole industry. And I think there is this delicate balance now of people who are doing some on Udemy and some off. And I've seen people say, so one thing I wouldn't do is sort of really cheapen your Udemy courses. I think it's still good to offer good courses there. Even if someone spends $20 with you there, you want the experience to be positive, that they say, wow, I spent $20 and I got all this value. I want to buy more from you. Not I spent $20 and I got $20. So there's that. And then in terms of what you were asking, which is upping the value on your site, some of the quick things I would do is one, I mean, as you were saying, Dave, make it look good. So that's pretty important. The other is another one is the private groups. So things like private groups, private coaching groups. I know it takes a bit more effort, but you can charge for that. So adding benefits and bonuses like that. Another one is you can potentially package it up with and partner with other instructors. So this is where it's great. You can reach out to other instructors and start to partner with other instructors to do package deals of courses that relate to or are part of that. But building that community, and I think having some engagement with them is a great way to up that value for sure.
And do you think, like, just as simple as creating a Facebook group, a private Facebook group, do you think that works for that kind of private group, or is there another method?
Well, so I mean, we do have the discussion part built into Thinkific, the private Facebook groups. We have one, and I really like it, and it works really well. So I think that's good. I think just between those two, that's some great stuff. We're secretly or not so secretly now working on some really cool ways of expanding the whole community aspect around courses and engagement that way. And actually, while we're still on the topic, one other thing that I love around driving value, if you're selling it, especially if you're selling through webinars or live events, is I've actually found physical goods, strangely enough, to be a real ad. So if you're selling something at a higher price point, say $500, $1,000, $2,000, and you're going to ship them something, it doesn't have to be a $500 product. It can be buy my $1,000 course and I'll ship you a $50 product. That adds huge value, I think, for people. And people like to shop. They like to get something in the mail. So we did something recently where it was a kind of exclusive thing where if you bought an annual plan with us, we shipped you a microphone. And people, they would sign up, and the next day, all the emails we got weren't like, how do I access my account or thanks for my account? It was, when do I get my microphone? So, and that was only, it wasn't $1,000 microphone. So
that's a good idea, actually. I might steal that. I might get like a little blue snowball or something and give that out for because I have like a package of my online learning or online teaching and business building courses. So that's a good idea. That's actually the exact microphone that we shipped. In fact, okay, I'll tell you what, here, we'll just do this off the cuff. If anyone coming out of this blab signs up for Thinkific and says, hey, I found Thinkific through you guys and the Passive Income Show with Dave and Phil, one, right away, I can give you a free month on the platform so you can try out all the features you want to try and play around with. And the other is if you pick up an annual plan, I can't do it on a monthly thing because the shipping costs and microphone cost will actually put us in the loss that. But if someone signs up for an annual plan and mentions it, then we'll ship them the microphone. Nice. Awesome.
That's awesome. We appreciate that, Greg. That's awesome.
Someone had a follow-up question to what you were talking about earlier about making your course look good. And can you kind of just explain what that would mean for someone? What does making a course look good mean?
So it's that,
or you have an example of like someone on Thinkific that has a great school that we can check out.
Yeah. Becomeasuperlearner.com is a fun one. That's becomeasuperlearner.com. And, that's a guy, Jonathan Levy, who teaches courses.
Oh, yeah.
I think
we're trying to have him on our blab.
Oh, well, I could connect you with him. He's a great guy, super awesome guy. So he teaches courses around like speed reading and speed learning. And so his site looks really cool. That's all built in Thinkific. And then another one is education.hootsuite.com. So they haven't gone the sort of splash page, like they have their own splash page as well. But education.hootsuite.com, and they do free social media marketing courses, and then they have a paid certification. But that's actually kind of out of the box one thing that you can do with Thinkific. And then of course we actually have themes, so you can create your own themes in Thinkific, or we're producing more and more custom themes that we can just give you, so you can have a beautiful landing page out of the box that's different from everybody else's.
Nice, super cool,
excellent. We've got a question from Chad. He says, can students sign up for a subscription using their credit card so they're charged monthly for access using Thinkific, sort of like Lynda or Skillshare?
Yeah, so you could literally recreate Lynda through Thinkific, where you could subscribe to the whole site and get access to everything. We give you full flexibility in pricing. So you can have payment plans, subscriptions, you can have bundles, so you can subscribe to a bundle or subscribe to a course or to the whole site, payment plan for anything, coupons, discounts, all that kind of stuff. Try and give you as much control over that as possible.
That's great. I was about to do a membership site I have 40 courses right now on Udemy, but I also have additional courses on another site that starts with the letter T. And I was going to do a membership site there, but I'm looking very carefully at, I'm going to look very carefully at Thinkific, because I'm just liking what I see. I'm liking that it's not a straight online learning platform. It's an online learning platform with marketing on top of it, marketing tools, marketing resources, marketing thought put behind it, And to me, that's a huge addition to just an online learning platform that, I can go host my course there, and great, but maybe the customer service isn't great, or maybe they don't have all these additional tools that I can, as somebody who knows marketing, I can really put to use and leverage in a good way. So that's great to hear. I'm sure Chad will be happy with that.
Yeah. And let me know when you go that way. Happy to help you out. Well, I think, yeah.
Absolutely. Sergi had a question. How do you get those partnerships? Do I contact you, and what are the requirements for that? I guess he's talking about where you were talking about how you were able to connect me with somebody and get that partnership going.
Yeah. So if you really the secret to that, sign up, join the community, and then shoot us a note, and happy to connect you. It's not something I can do for absolutely everyone because it depends on your course. You know, if you're teaching cooking courses and I don't know anyone in the cooking course space, well, there's lots, but you know what I mean. So it's something that we can. There's no sort of specific requirements. It's just getting in there and then joining the community, and then we can connect you with the right people.
And here's a good question in the chat. I read that some of the other platforms also hold funds for 30 days before distributing them to teachers, but does Thinkific doesn't do that, or do they?
Sorry, I kind of missed the question there.
She heard that, or he heard that some of the other platforms hold funds for 30 days. So yes. When a course is sold, they hold funds for 30 days or maybe a little more. Does Thinkific do that or not? Yeah,
so some of the other platforms hold funds for 30 to 60 days, and we don't do that at all. So we give you control over that. We also give you control over refunds. So if you want to issue a refund or not, or you want to have a refund policy or not, that's entirely up to you. And I saw Barb asking about my Twitter handle. So I signed in with Facebook. For some reason, I couldn't sign in with Twitter this time. So my Twitter is at Greg Travels, or you can do at Thinkific. But at Greg Travels is my personal one. This one, I guess, just pulled in from Facebook. So I am not on Twitter at Greg Smith. That's probably a drummer in a band or something else. There's lots of Greg Smiths out there.
That's funny. Cool. Does anyone else have any questions? We got like 5 minutes. This has been a really, really beneficial chat, Greg. So yeah. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else that you want to talk about or mention if we don't have any other questions?
I would just say about anyone who's kind of considering getting into this generally is do it. It is I've been in the space, like I said, for 10 or 11 years now, and it's been an amazing opportunity. For me, it's funny, but it all boils down to family. I did a lot of this stuff so I could spend more time with family. And I just love being able to give that opportunity to more people to create the passive revenue, create the passive income. And to me, that just translates into time doing the things you love with the people you love. So I'd just dive in and make it happen. It's a pretty amazing experience when it does. And even if it's just a little bit on the side initially, it can be such a cool thing to be, out having dinner and have a little thing pop on your phone saying you just sold a course for $50 and you're like, dinner's on me. I just, it's
yeah,
I love it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's great. Actually, that brings up a really good thing, about us, Dave. I've been the broken record about asking people if this time works for everyone, and we're actually going to be changing the time of our blab in the next few weeks. I thought of that because Greg was just talking about spending time with family and how important that is, and that is something that I'll just be completely honest with everyone, that Thursdays at 6 p.m. is a time that the local farmers market happens. And I didn't realize that when we started this show. And it's just something that my wife and I like to do. And it's just the worst time in the middle of it that I would have to miss every week. So I asked Dave and he said, yeah, we could move it. So for everyone watching, we are going to be switching the live time of the show. We are going to be having our show next Thursday at 4:00 in a transition to eventually, I think 2 weeks from now, we'll have our live show at 4 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays, and that will be the regular time. It will give it's a great time for both Dave and I, and so hopefully it works out for all of you. And if not, I really apologize, but you can also always catch the replay afterwards. So that was just something I wanted to announce to everyone. And yeah, it looks like we have
and if it doesn't work for all of you, then we'll just do it live from the farmer's market with Phil and his wife. They'll each have an iPhone, and they'll be
nice.
There's a good beer garden at the Fullerton Farmers Market, so I'll have to set up my computer there.
maybe some bee farmers. You won't have wasps, but some bees.
Yeah. Okay, this is really going to work out.
Yeah.
That's great.
But I think there were a couple more questions from people. I don't know, Dave, do we want to rapid fire these last couple questions?
Yeah, let's do this. This one from Chad. He says, when students buy the course at a higher price outright rather than subscribe, if that's an option given by the instructor, are they promised lifetime access or do they have a download option? That's about all I can see here.
Okay, so basically, I mean, within Thinkific, it's whatever you want to do. So you can have multiple pricing tiers on the same product, or even multiple products and upsells, cross sells, all that kind of stuff. It's all like 1 or 2 clicks to set everything up. So you could have a course that's $1,000 or 4 monthly payments of $400, and you could set it up so that whichever way they pay, they get lifetime access, or you have a finite time that they have access to. You could say you only have access to the course for 30 days or a year, or whatever you want to give them. So for my personal online courses, I have 3 pricing tiers and a payment plan. And I give people access for 1 year. I'm in a pretty specific space for that, so 1 year is perfect for them. And then I find the pricing tiers work really, really well, because I have my $400 pricing tier is where everybody goes, and I put all my value there. And then I have an $800 pricing tier that I only add a little bit more to. So I pushed everything down to that middle tier. And so everybody looks at the high price and goes, oh, there's not much more there. I'll just take the middle one. That's got all the value, but it means more people buy. It just ups the conversion rate, having that multiple pricing tier.
Nice.
Yeah, I've seen split tests of that kind of strategy, what you're talking about, and it usually works to kind of steer people to the option that you want them to go to by putting the most value there.
Yeah,
that's great.
It's the Burger King. It's the Burger King marketing pricing plan. They started adding, the Mama Burger, Papa Burger. They always added like the bigger burger at a bigger price, and as they did this, they found that people always bought the second most expensive, second biggest burger. No matter how many more and how more expensive it got, they went for number 2. So they just kept pushing higher and higher to push people to number 2.
That's so true. That's that
great.
Worked when I did a lot of wedding videography before, and we set up our pricing exactly because of that. We had our super big package that we knew 99% of people wouldn't get. We had our cheap package that not many people got, and then we had our middle tier price, and that was what everyone got, because they didn't want to go for the biggest package, but they didn't want to go for the cheap package either. So that works.
Great. One last question Barb had. She says, whoops, I signed up for the free level. Does that mean I can't take advantage of 1 free month?
No, in fact, that's even what I'd suggest you do. Go sign up for a free plan, play around with it, make sure you like it. Hopefully you love it. Ask us a few questions. And then when you want it, just let me know that you found out about us here on this podcast, and we can do that free month for you. And again, if you go for the annual plan, I'll ship you the microphone, and the marketing people are going to kill me for that one, but we're going to do it anyway.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we're here at the top of the hour, and we're so grateful, Greg, that you joined us. Really, I mean, I don't know how you did it, but you packed this blab with so much value, so much content that's so valuable to us as instructors who are, we happen to be at a moment in time where we're looking at other options. I mean, it doesn't mean the existing option is bad, and it doesn't mean we're unhappy with it, but there are other ways to do online teaching. And so it's a great moment, I think, for companies like Thinkific to step up and say, hey, here's what we got, and come check it out. So very, very thankful that you came on to the show tonight, Greg, and I'm looking forward to working with you on a few things now that you've kind of you've spurred this curiosity about what we can do. So thank you so much.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And hey, I'm always happy to come back. I live this stuff, and I have for a decade. So I could go on for an hour just about YouTube marketing specific to online courses. So I have.
You know what would be awesome to do is not just that, but also maybe bring on 2 or 3 Thinkific success stories and instructors, and we can all just kind of pounce on them.
Ask them what they're doing.
Hey, what are you guys doing?
That would be a lot of fun, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay.
Set that up. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm putting in the link to the Passive Income Show Facebook group. Since we are having some time changes, we're going to be changing the time of the show. Go ahead and join that. It's a private Facebook group just for our fans, and we post all kinds of content on there. We post stuff from, just today I posted an infographic from Coursera all about the future of online learning and online teaching. We post from the whole world of online teaching. We're not just specific to one platform. and we're always posting exciting stuff there. So go ahead and sign up there, and we'll be seeing you next week at a different time,
4 p.m. Pacific.
Thursday at 4 p.m. I don't have the link to next week's show, but we're going to be talking about email marketing for your online course. Maybe Phil can grab it while I'm talking.
I'll grab that.
And how important it is. I think Sergi had the question, which platforms outside of Udemy, are your most profitable? And for me, if I were to think about, I don't think of it as a platform, but I think of it as my email list is by far my most profitable tool, if you can call it that. My email list that I've developed over many years is what allows me to market not only my own products, but also affiliate products for affiliate commissions and things like that. So, okay, there's the link to next week's Blab. So you guys are welcome to join us next week at 4 p.m. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Greg, so much for joining us. It's been awesome. And like I said, I'm going to be listening to this recording. So thanks again for all
Thanks,
that.
guys. Have a good night.
All right.
Thanks.
Good night.